Welcome back to Hot Factor Nigeria Info Harry Podhaka Time Dial. And before I went on the break, and at the start of the show today, okay, no, I'll come back to that later on. Before I went on the break, I was asking a question: who is the most unruly or ludicrous security agency in Rivers State, and by extension, possibly by extension, Nigeria? And I'm asking that because, once again, here's the story. PHED say their staff were beaten and arrested in a Robola office by some officials of the NSCDC after they disconnected their power supply around Olubasanjo axis for safety reasons. Now, legal officer of PHED, Ephraim Ibiagi, said the Corps alleged that the PHED disconnection of power at the axis led to their inability to function effectively during the March 18th election in the state. Yes, maybe that's why they were allegedly snatching ballot boxes, because they didn't have power supply. Ebiagi said, while condemning the act by the NSCDC officials, said PHD by law has the sole duty to isolate supply of power at any unit if danger is detected. And I was about to address the commandant of the NSCDC in Rivers State. Where is it again? The Rivers State Commandant Michael Besong Oga. Yes, Commandant Michael Besong Oga. I don't know if the NSCDC has started responding to things like this. I mean, the police are tired of responding to things like this. One of the responses back in the day used to be, "They are not our men." As the NSCDC designed its own script of how to respond to things like this, Commandant Michael Besong Oga, are these your boys or they are not your men? What's going on, Commandant? What's going on? It's like your boys are feeling left behind. You know, they want to be a part of they want to catch up with the police and others who go about beating people and arresting people very soon. It's only a matter. By the way, Commandant Michael Besong Oga, it'll only be a matter of time before your boys start taking people to ATMs also to empty their accounts. It'll only be a matter of time before your boys start torturing people also. It'll only be a matter of time before your boys start giving people blood sugar as well. It'll only be a matter of time. Matter of time. Only a matter of time. And I also asked a question earlier where the term kumite, from some underground fighting contest came from, and I got a response here. Or a couple of responses. Someone says kumite is a karate team, meaning fight competition. Yes, it does. But I'm asking, there was something that popularized it some time ago. Someone says kumite, no retreat, no surrender. Ikedichi, no, that's wrong. It's not from. I don't think it's from no retreat, no surrender. No. But I got a correct response, a correct answer here. Ada, you're officially one of us. I'm sure you came across the kumite in the movie Bloodsport starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, who went to Hong Kong to take part in the kumite. That's Maurice Minio from Rumola. Maurice, absolutely correct. That's where that came from Bloodsport, the movie starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think from the movie was released 1988, way back. So yeah. So response to my question. Michael says the Nigeria Police Force is number one. Someone said Olokpa, but that's Yoruba for police, by the way. The Nigeria Police will win the contest because they know how to do it. And after read the Riot Act, that's from Ezekiel. Nigeria Police, the police, of course. No agency in the world can beat Nigeria Police record. That's from Uche. The Nigeria Police has no rival. They are the champions. Azuike Ugochukwu said that. This is unbelievable stuff. Nigeria is truly a cruise state. And someone says they needed the power to charge their phones. Oh, okay. To charge their phones. Stand up for Nigerian police. I mean, it's a no contest, I suppose. It's a no contest. The police win hands down, any day. Which it says that the NSCDC needed the power to charge their phones. Okay, all right, okay. And I think I saw a message here as well that says that they needed to charge their rifles. Oh, okay, all right. So maybe the NSCDC officials, the NSCDC boys, needed the power, what we call light, to charge their rifles. Maybe because the rifles were not properly charged. That's why they were misled into some of them were misled into snatching ballot boxes on election day. Allegedly, of course. Allegedly, as has been widely reported. The police would have won it anyway, but the NSCDC will rig it to win it. If you don't accept it, go to court. Oh, that's another perspective. Maybe they have electric bikes and the cars now, and mobility was hindered. Oh, that's another thing. Maybe they're using Teslas. Maybe the NSCDC River State Command are using Teslas. And because they could not charge their Teslas, they couldn't respond. They could not respond to where the ballot boxes were being snatched. Wow, I see it now. I totally get it now. Yeah, that's it. All right, what else caught my attention on the news today? Let's see. Well, I am pressed for time. But 6 people were arrested for vote trading and other electoral fraud during the March 18 elections in Rivers State. They were arrested by the Port Harcourt Zonal Command of EFCC. Head Public Affairs of the command, Post Deborah Meze Kisuwe, told our correspondent the suspects will be arraigned in court as soon as investigation is completed. EFCC, let's know when they are arraigned in court. One cannot count how many times that EFCC, Navy, Army, Air Force, police will tell us they've arrested people. That's all we hear. We arrested 27 ballot box snatchers. We arrested people who were there on ground. We caught them. You can see them. This where people were trying to buy votes. We keep telling Nigerians that it's wrong to do these things, and our men were standing by. Our men were standing by. They were standing by. Did you hear what I said? They were standing by. And look at where they were standing by. They apprehended these people standing by. They apprehended them. When is the trial going to commence? When are you charging them to court? The men were standing by and apprehended them. So let's hear when they will be charged to court and when prosecution or when the trial will commence. As far as these people who were apprehended when your men were standing by are concerned. The NSCDC personnel looked away and some joined the bus conveying the snatched boxes. They needed the light to think better. That's from Dr. Linda. They needed the light to iron their gyms. That's outstanding. Or iron their uniforms maybe. They don't like coming out with uniforms that aren't pressed, that's the thing with security agents, actually. They're always looking sharp and pressed in their uniforms, So maybe that's the problem. Anyway, I think I'll leave the side comment on that note. I am pressed for time. A number of other things to address on the show today. So we got very little time. So do we move on? Is that it? Is that it? Is it time to move on? I think I'll move on. That's it for today's side comment. I go for a quick break. When I return, today's round comes up. Please stay with us.
You are tuned in to 92.
Hello and welcome back. It is Hard Factor Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt. I'm Dio, and I'd like to rant for just a bit. Or more precisely, I'd like to tell you a story for just a bit. Or maybe even more specifically, I'd like to read you a story. I read the story earlier today and it's been on my mind. I'd like to share it with you, and I hope to get your take on mine for some minutes before the show wraps up today. Now, the piece I'm about to read out to you has been featured, not the exact piece, the story that is behind the piece has been featured on Every Daily. And I saw a few articles on this item, but I picked this one specifically because of the writing style of, I presume, the reporter that put it together. It's an interesting style. It's kind of like prose. Yeah, it's not like a usual newspaper article or reportage, as it were. It's kind of like prose, like an interesting read of sorts. And I picked this one specifically. So let's get to it. Let's get to it straight away. And this piece is from the Guardian newspaper. It's captioned "Tears as Ekweremadu wife found guilty of organ harvesting." Former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice were on Thursday found guilty of conspiracy to facilitate and arrange travel with the aim of exploitation by an Old Bailey jury. However, Sonia, their daughter, was found not guilty. Fourth defendant, Dr. Obina Obeta, was also found guilty with the couple. All three will be provisionally sentenced on May 5, the judge disclosed shortly after the verdict. Despite not being convicted, Sonia sobbed uncontrollably in the dock after hearing her parents' convictions. Her mother sobbed as well, but wiped her tears and stopped as the court was still in session. Sonia continued crying. A senator sat back in his chair and didn't immediately show any emotion. After the judge had discharged the jury and the court had ended, Ekweremadu then went and put his arms around his daughter and wife. All three embraced for about a minute. Sonia continued crying. Her mother removed a cream woolen hat and gave it to her. A senator had a brief chat with his wife, but when he later looked up to wave at his sons and family and friends, he too had a tear in his eyes. Ekweremadu and his wife were later led out of the dock by security guards. In the public gallery, tears also flowed freely from two female family members. And though the senator's two sons looked dejected and shocked as the guilty verdicts were announced, both kept their emotions tight. Afterward, family and friends rallied round them outside the court and asked them to stay strong. While Sonia was still in tears outside the court, but was soon escorted away by family and friends. Her barrister, John Femi Ola KC, had a tear in his eyes outside the court as he hugged one of the senator's sons. Though all friends and family had been eagerly waiting for the trial to come to a conclusive end, none expected it to be very early on Thursday. The day unfolded less than an hour after the 12 jurors resumed their deliberations in the jury room soon after 10 a.m. At about 10:47 UK time, one of the security guards outside of 4 courtrooms on the second floor informed that there's a verdict in Court 5. And prior to then, there had been an announcement over the public address system that all the parties in Ekweremadu's case should be in Court 5 immediately. Now, since the jury was sent out on Monday afternoon, that tone had never been used whenever the jury needed to come back to court. After family and friends were led into the courtroom, things moved speedily from then. At 10:51, the court usher made the familiar announcement, "A jury in court." All the 12 filed out into the courtroom, led by the foreman. The graveyard-like silence was tangible from the moment the court clerk faced the dock and said, "Could all the defendants please stand?" All 4 got on their feet in the dock. The clerk turned to the jury and said, "Mr. Foreman, please stand." The tall gentleman did the needful. She now asked him, "Members of the jury, what is your verdict on the first defendant, Obina Obeta?" And he said, "Guilty." Continuing, she asked, "Members of the jury, what is your verdict on the second defendant, Ekweremadu?" Then he replied with, "Guilty." And she repeated the question again, asking, "What is your verdict regarding Sonia Ekweremadu?" And the foreman said, "Not guilty." And finally, the clerk asked the foreman, "What is your verdict concerning Beatrice Ekweremadu?" And the foreman said, "Guilty." And that's the story. A story that got finds it. And imagine that there are many things that one can away from this story. Imagine that there's sat in many rooms right now, in many offices as we speak. It says joy. And laugh me. Instead of ridicule, there's something on. So different things, different reactions and different responses and different emotions no doubt trail and will follow. And he's already following. Position at the old but whatever the reaction is, whatever it is, whatever the emotions are in whatever part of the world, as different as those emotions might be, one thing is universal, one thing remains sacrosanct, one thing is the same. In the room where there is singing and dancing and rejoicing, in the room where there is sadness, where there is languishing, where there is gnashing of teeth, where there is wailing and there is weeping right now. One thing is the same in all of these places, whether it be in the UK, in Nigeria, in Africa, anywhere on the globe. One thing is certain as far as this matter is concerned. And that serves as a reminder to all as well, that before the law, all men are equal. Before the law, all men are equal. And by the way, before you start jumping to disagree with me, that includes Nigeria as well. The difference here is that people manipulate the law. And not the law in itself, actually. They manipulate the systems in their favor. They find a way to destroy processes and destroy systems so that they can easily manipulate them. For example, we live in a country where executives, governors for example, do not want an independent judiciary. They don't want an independent legislature. But let's stick with judiciary for now. They don't want an independent judiciary. And that's what I'm saying. They want to destroy the systems. And the reason they want to destroy them is so that they can manipulate them. Because even in Nigeria, it's the same. All men are equal before the law. The spirit and the letter of the law. Or the law does not know anybody. If you read the words of the law, it doesn't give an exception to honorable or excellency. It doesn't. If you do the crime, you do the time. That's at the heart of the law. In the UK, in Nigeria, the law knows nobody. It does not distinguish between the honorable or excellency. It doesn't. All men are equal before the law. Well, like I said, for example, in Nigeria, what some people do is they destroy the systems so they can manipulate it and by extension manipulate the law in their to their favor. And that's why I was giving an example earlier on. Governors in Nigeria, for example, mostly do not want an independent judiciary. That's why they want judges to line up in front of them and come in a file to collect car keys, to collect house keys. And Chief Judge of the state, on behalf of all the judges, will be thanking His Excellency. We thank His Excellency. On behalf of all the judges, whereby thank you. And that's why you will have a governor in Nigeria, for example, warning judges to not be calling his number. That's what we do. We destroy, we weaken the systems so we can manipulate them. But it doesn't, that's the thing, it doesn't change the law. It doesn't change the law. It does not change the law. The law is the law. And before the law, all men are equal. And to all the honorables and excellencies who at the time destroying the systems, breaking the systems, trying to break them to their will so they can manipulate them. Yeah, you can break systems. Obviously, you probably have even perfected the art of doing that. You can break men. You can even break judges. You can even break chief judges. You might even be able to break the CJN of an entire country. But you can't break the law. In the manner of speaking, the law remains what it is. And in the eye of the law, in the eye of a judge or chief judge or CJN, you might even look like Jehovah himself. But in the eye of the law, before the law, you are no different from that guy who is loading buses at Romoko roundabout right now. Before the law, all men are equal. And that's my rant for today. Hope you were not bored. Let's get your take on mine. Number's the same. 070-0923-0923. 070-0923-0923. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria InfoPH. We're live on Twitter at Nigeria InfoPH. Also check out our YouTube page, Nigeria InfoPH. Keep it brief and straight to the point once the call is taken. Also remember to turn off your radio set once your call is taken as well. It's expedient that to do so, else we can't have ourselves a conversation. Hello. Why did I think that was going to happen? Once again, 070-0923-0923. Hello, you're welcome.
I greet you. Good afternoon.
Hello, go ahead.
I really thank you for having a best friend like you. I wish Nigeria will recognize people like you and give you positions more. But what I want to say is this. In Nigeria, like as you rightly say, in Nigeria here, I will remember the time the court to give order for Chief Inspector General of Police to be arrested, that he commits contempt of court. How far for today? The thing goes by for other security agencies. When they say that they committed contempt of court, all of them was ordered to be arrested. How far now? That is Nigeria for you. God bless you, my brother.
913, hello? Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're welcome. Please go on.
Thank you. This is Moses calling from Magua. Yes, I in this country, I think some persons are above the law. Because in as much as I know all of what you said is true, all pure true, but in Nigeria here, it's as if our own law is not functioning. Because in Nigeria, some persons will do the crime and they will not go to prison. But some people, some persons will commit a crime and they will go for it in Nigeria here. So, like this bank governor, there was a condition, but he didn't obey it. He did. So I think in Nigeria it's not working. It's not working until it is improved, but I don't know when. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Marcel. 973. Via Facebook, Betty Gonson goes, so the rich and mighty can also cry. He's facing trial in a country where everybody is equal before the law, and not Nigeria where justice can be overturned overnight. Hello, you're welcome.
Hello, Dario. Good evening.
All right, go on.
Yeah, Dario, I just want to reiterate what you said. Before the law, all men are equal. Before the law, all men are equal. Everyone has his time. Forget about what's happening in Nigeria. Everyone has his time. Before the law, all men are equal. This is Jack Chris from the Bush.
Hello, 913.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi there.
Favorite from Port Harcourt.
Go on.
The reason why our country is still the same is because some certain people are above the law here in Nigeria. I think you can still remember the case of the Ikekufo and
Hello, Gabriel.
carpet, and nobody is talking about it. Because the law, the people who commit the offense are walking freely under the surface of this earth. They are still in the system. They are still in the police force. They are still wherever they are serving as in the force as it takes. If they are not above the by now they must have been prosecuted. I so much encourage the international law that by now the people who they have been sentenced, they will be in jail by maybe by next month very close. If it is Nigeria here, you will find that the case will be swept under the carpet. Thank you for the good job, Dio.
You're welcome. Got a commercial break coming up shortly. Well, let's see. A few more comments. Olodie Jackridge goes, he should face the music. UK is not ABBA. And Savity Jose on Facebook goes, the Ekweremadu and his wife should face the consequences. They're among the people that spawned this country for us. Let them face the law. Oh, I got a few comments here as well. Hearing you read this article out loud comes of like a novel written to draw out emotions from the readers, but in truth, it is reality. A reality that reminds us all, the rich also cry. Will this touch our political elite to do the right thing by our citizens all the times? Your guess is as good as mine. This is what is expected of Nigerian law courts. It is not the respect of any big man, honorable or excellency, or her excellency. Every man is equal in the eye of the law. That's from Melford. Dial. I was shocked myself when I heard the news. I wish our judiciary can really be the hope of the common man in Nigeria. That's why politicians get away with crime in Nigeria. Before the eyes of the law, all by equal justice is not the will of the strongest, but treating equally and unequally. But in Nigeria, the opposite is true. That's from Ezekiel. I've got a commercial break coming up now. I return shortly to take more of your responses to today's rant. Please stay tuned. Hard Facts. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back. Still hard facts in Nigeria info her input Harker time dive. We've got about 2 minutes to go to top of the hour, 4 o'clock. Still taking responses to my rant from earlier. And I'm thinking right now, maybe we should leave off the, maybe I should leave off the PDP chatter or the PDP discussion till next week. I'm thinking that. I'm thinking might continue this conversation till I don't know, about 4:30 or thereabouts when the show gives way for the sports gang today. I think I'll do that. I have a feeling that you know you haven't given your response yet. You still like to give it. You're trying to call in right now, or you sent a message you want me to read. So I think that I'll do that. I've got the news coming up at 4 in a moment, the business news. But let's take a few more comments before then. Hello, Di. I really feel for Ekweremadu, his wife, and the doctor, but Europe is Europe. Their laws are very strong and will hold on to anybody. I wish he took the right steps, honestly, as Bernard, who sent that in. The law in Europe is not stronger than the law in Nigeria, actually. The law is the law. The law is usually the same everywhere you go, And in Europe, in Nigeria, everybody is equal before the law. The only difference is that we succeeded in destroying systems. Honorables and excellencies in Nigeria have destroyed the systems, and it's deliberately, it's systematic, so that they can manipulate it in their favor. That's the whole point. They don't change the law is there. Well, maybe they are, tweak it sometimes, but generally speaking, the law is the law. Generally speaking. You said it all, die. If it was in my father's land, the said boy would have been arrested, and some group of people will start a peaceful protest saying their leader is a good man and they can't do a thing like that. That's from Frank, I think. All right, business news comes up shortly. This discussion continues afterwards. Please stay with us.
with Dio.
Welcome back to Hot Factor Nigeria Info here in Port Harcourt, the number one talk station. I'm Dio. 6 minutes gone past 4 p.m. Discussions are on, and as I mentioned before the break for the business news, I'll continue with your responses to today's rant till about 4:30. When the show makes way for the sports gang today, they're in at about that time. Remember, we've got an AFCON qualifier today. Super Eagles of Nigeria taking on the counterparts from Guinea-Bissau. 5 p.m. is kickoff time. The sports gang will be in to bring you all the action from that game. So, I did deliver a rant just a while ago, more like I read a story. Yeah, once again, kind of like prose. Check it out for yourself if you can. Story from The Guardian, captioned, Tears as Ekweremadu wife found guilty of organ harvesting. Former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, were on Thursday found guilty of conspiracy to facilitate and arrange travel with the aim of exploitation by an Old Bailey jury. However, Sonia, their daughter, was found not guilty. Fourth defendant, Dr. Obina Obeta, was also found guilty with the couple. All three will be provisionally sentenced on May 5. The judge was closed shortly after the verdict. So, there it stands. The Ekweremadus and their doctor have been found guilty. And the summary of all of this, by the way, the whole essence of the rant, whatever the reactions currently trailing the verdict of the jury, in anywhere in the world right now, whether it's one of sorrow, gnashing of teeth, weeping and wailing, or of joy, or dancing, or smiles, whatever, or reprimand. Before the law, all men are equal. And once again, that includes Nigeria. That very much includes Nigeria. It does. And by the way, if you missed the rant, I read a story earlier on. You determine if it's interesting or not. Check it out on facebook.com/Nigeria InfoPH or via Twitter as well at Nigeria InfoPH. But still taking your responses now, call 070-0923-0923. Also, joining via facebook.com/Nigeria InfoPH and via Twitter at Nigeria InfoPH. Via Facebook, AO Intercat goes. They should know that this is not Nigeria. What is your take on this? Hello, Hot Factor, welcome. Please go on.
Hello, Dio. Good day, sir.
Hello, go ahead.
I'm George calling from Duke.
Go ahead.
From Duke, yeah. See, this thing you are now discussing. It is the so-called learned men, the lawyers, the judges, the justices. They are the ones letting themselves down before the politicians.
How are the lawyers letting themselves down?
If they don't create that rule, they will not take advantage of them.
Hold on, just a moment. Now, the Ekweremadus and their lawyer in the UK, they had a lawyer. They had at least one lawyer.
In Nigeria.
No, hold on. Just hold on a moment. Just listen. If you would listen, you will understand what I'm saying. Then you can respond appropriately. You said the lawyers. You mentioned the lawyers as the problem in Nigeria. Now I'm asking you a question.
Yes.
Did the Ekweremadus not have at least one lawyer representing them and defending them in the UK?
No, they have.
Exactly.
What I'm saying, the law is supreme. Everybody is equal before the law. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. That's what I'm saying, that it is these lawyers, the barristers, the justices,
Okay,
they are the ones giving that room to the...
Once again, the lawyers do not have a problem in this. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Because even in the UK, the Ekweremadus have lawyers defending them, defending their innocence. That's what I'm saying. But you are not getting the point, obviously.
What you are saying is that in Nigeria, the people are not equal before the law. But in that place, look at how things are done. Decently. But here is the reverse. So everybody should stand on their ground to resist all these things so that they will know that they are even one arm of the government.
Right, you have me. 070-093-093. Let's see. Melody is the same. Many lessons that our elites need to learn from this style. All this time as LG to Senate to Deputy Senate President, he could not build a befitting hospital that would have saved them this embarrassment. Second, it was alleged that he reneged on the promise to the said kidney donor when they found that it was not compatible. The guy raised all that dust that made UK authorities to dive into ascertain who said the truth, because remember the guy lied about his age at the point, but the Child Slavery Organ Donor Act couldn't find them not guilty. Well, whatever the story is, they've been found guilty. We could commiserate with Ekweremadu for the sad story, but the lesson to be learned here is to the masses. If Ekweremadu supported built class international hospitals, one or two of his bounty houses, and imported a specialist doctor to treat his daughter, this embarrassing situation would have been averted. It is not sometimes, even though our hearts are in the places, I think are in the right places, our interpretation of scenarios is somewhat warped. It is not the responsibility of National Assembly to hospitals. It is not their job. But that's a different conversation. One we've had severally, and one I imagine we will definitely have some other day. Hello, Di. I shed tears on how you simplified how good the system should work. I pray one day Nigeria works for our good. That's for Monday. And bang. Hard fight to welcome this one. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Please, this issue is talking about Ekweremadu.
Turn off your radio set, please.
Okay. What we are saying is this, like the last caller said, all the things that are happening smoothly in the UK are not the same things that are happening here in Nigeria. Now, for instance, if Ekweremadu case was addressed in Nigeria here, definitely the case might turn out to be different thing. Maybe he might escape the net. But because that is because the judiciary is in the hands of the lawmakers, in the hands of the politicians. Whatever they say, the judiciary obeys. But in the UK out there, it's not like that. Anyway, he has the right to his own Anthony, but yet the law have to take its course. That is why things turn out to be this way. But I'm sorry anyway to find out that Nigerian lawmaker is former Senate President for that matter has caught up with the law in the UK. This is an opportunity for Nigerian judiciary system, the lawyers, the judges to learn that is how they are supposed to be independent on their own, not to go and feed, maybe look for peanuts from the politicians for tomorrow's sake, so that the politicians will not have a right over them anymore. That is my case.
Well, on Facebook, Jemima Samuel goes, this is really sad, but then let them face the law. If this had happened in Nigeria, it would have been a different scenario. 91.3, welcome.
Hello, Dayo.
All right, go on.
Yeah, what the last man was saying is that if it's in Nigeria, this case will not end in 10 years.
But that's not the fault. But that's not the fault of lawyers. That's what I'm saying. A lawyer can
defend. It's not because of law, but the way their country arranged the judicial different from Africa, particularly Nigeria. It's sorry that it happened to Ekweremadu. I say it's sorry. It's a pity that it happened to him. And I suspected that brother, that doctor in London, he must have contributed or maybe advised him what to do.
Well, ignorance is no excuse before the law.
Hello?
I said ignorance of the law is no excuse. Hello, 91.3.
Hello.
All right, go on. Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm on to Nigeria Info.
Go ahead,
please. What I want to say in this matter is that it's unfortunate, Dayo, that what is happening in this country is amazing. Could you remember when Obama said that what Nigerians or even African countries need is a strong institutions, not strong leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I'm saying that situations where Nigerians will manipulate elections, and at the end of the day, in the process, they will connive with INEC and the security agencies who are supposed to protect Nigerians and their voters. They will instigate violence and people will die. At the end of the day, on the process, we are still on the process. They will be asking you go to court. Why they are saying it is because they knew quite all right that even if you go to court, that nothing will come out of it. So, and that is why they will always tell you go to court, because they know that they have manipulated the institutions. Even as we stand now, even what happened in this country now, we don't even have hope whether the court we are going to get any judgment in the court as it stands in this presidential and governorship election. So,
hello.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Some more messages now. Law is no respecter of anyone. If the case was in Nigeria, then the police will arrest, beat the hell out of the boy, arrest his entire family. Some traditional rulers and some corporate organizations will give awards to Ekweremadu and label the victim a liar and an enemy of the masses. Oh, that's Olayemi. Daya, good evening. Ogochukwu goes on Ekweremadu and the wife's verdict. When things like this happen, it reinforces my belief that crime does not pay. Even though in this part of the world, the law is oftentimes twisted to favor the elite. I'm happy the law took its stand on him to show to the world that indeed 9 days may be for the thief, but 1 day must surely be reserved for the owner. Good afternoon. Thank you for this rant. Do you see how speedy the case went? Do you see how the poor boy secured justice with no respect for the personality of Ekweremadu? A 2019 tribunal suit against Buhari was just given verdict last week or so. That's from Michael. In Nigeria, it will be difficult to prosecute because the judge will be confused, not to be seen to be witch hunting or after the opposition. Good evening, Daya. No person is above the law, whether he or she holds any position or attains the apex position. Country we are in, they say immunity covers some positions, but it is banned. The country wants corruption. That's from Otto Tamunoi Niaime. Oh, that's a tough one. Good afternoon, Dial. Thank you for extending the time. Nigerian laws can work, but because the elite have devised a means to manipulate it, and the gatekeepers of the temple have been seriously compromised with pots of yam porridge, let the big man face the music. And I wish that all those whom have crippled this country would meet their match. That's from Uche. Before the law, all men are equal, but before Nigerian law, some men are even more powerful than the law. On 18th of March, that I voted, you can't believe I was called to come and write my name and account number that will be submitted to someone. If only service providers will be honest to grant access to conversations that went through that period, you'll be shocked to hear the kind of conversation that went online during that period. But who will prosecute the offenders? Those who prosecute have allegedly sold their hands and collected gifts that have caused them to keep mute. It's only God that will bless you and reward you for your truthfulness. Oluchi sent that in. If God is in the business of providing Mercedes ML350, that would be nice, you know. By the way, is God listening right now? I don't mind an ML350 if God is taking requests at the moment. Just saying. Hello, Hard Factor. Welcome. Please go on.
Hello. Good evening, Daya.
Hi, go ahead.
Yeah, Daya, my name is Anjak Botive.
Yeah.
I think what the other guy was saying to you was that the lawyers are responsible largely. If it was in Nigeria, they would have been throwing in several frivolities, right? So
we have had, Andy, just a moment. We've had scenarios in Nigeria, in Nigerian courts also. When lawyers bring up frivolous applications, a judge can say, no, I'm not going to entertain this in my court. So a lawyer wants to defend their clients. They can employ all kinds of tactics. The court, headed by a judge, has a responsibility to make... The judge is the conductor of this performance, for crying out loud.
Yes, absolutely. But you say often, how many judges do you think can do such? A lot of times they entertain frivolities. Even in this Port Harcourt court, I've had time, to go and sit over, a few cases. And you would show that even though you are not a lawyer, at how that they entertain frivolity. I'm sure that was what that guy was actually trying to say to you, that because the British system has developed, they have gone through the teaching problems, so that right now they have built their legal jurisprudence such that even all the judges cannot, because if they did entertain frivolities, there will be sanctions. We don't have any such in our own system. What I usually say to people is that the person who is hungry is not thinking about Versace. He's not thinking about cloth. He's not thinking about shelter. He would take care of hunger before he looks at something else. Have you seen any poor country that would have a good justice system? I'd like to hear any from you. Any poor country in the world that will have a good justice system. Nigeria is poverty capital of the world. As a matter of fact, Nigeria overtook India with billions of people, China with billions of people. So poverty is not only... As
we wrap up the conversation, I'd like to comment on your last comments, and I would say that justice or wealth does not come before justice. You cannot have wealth if there is no justice.
Okay, so Dayo, it's a conversation. I like that you say you cannot have wealth without justice, but which comes before which? The truth of the matter is that yes, justice is good. Justice creates wealth. However, where there is poverty in the land, you cannot have justice. You would be deceiving yourself to think you can have justice. The judges would, as a result of the fact that they feel that there is poverty, is not only with the people who are on the street, right, Dayo? Poverty cuts across, poverty of the mind. There are people who have money, but they are poor. They do not understand. There are justices, but they are poor. They are thinking about how much is this big man, quote unquote, going to give to me if I did X, Y, Z. This is why I disagree to some extent with what you said when you said the law is the law, like you have it in Britain, and so that's why you have it in Nigeria. It's not entirely true. It's not entirely true. Yes.
What is the difference with the law?
Yes. What is the difference is that the law, like you have it in Britain, has matured. It has gone through the teaching.
No, it is not the law. It is not the law that. You know what.
He's looking to feed first.
Okay, Andy, your thoughts are noted, but I must move on right now.
Okay.
All right, the what law has matured? I mean, if you're looking at the English law, I mean, how many unlike the American Constitution that has undergone several amendments? You have First Amendment, or Fifth, Sixth, Seventh Amendments. By the way, the UK mostly doesn't even have a written constitution. So what maturity? If anything has matured at all, the people have matured, the systems have matured. The law is fundamentally the same.
Public announcement. This is to inform the business community, especially shop owners in Rumeme Kingdom,